The implementation of evidence-based practices refers to the content and strategies that have yielded positive results. This is a good time to note the difference between evidence-based and research-based practices. Evidence-based indicates that the strategy was actually used in a real setting and did indeed generate positive outcomes. Research-based tested a strategy in a structured environment and may only indicate the strategy could work in a practical application. If you want a quick 2-minute easy explanation, go to YouTube and search the title Evidence-Based versus Research-Based Programs for Dyslexics. Over the lesson 1.3, we're going to look at the research-based core, which is a core subject areas which we generally refer to as social studies, science, reading, and math, and their alignment to our state standards or our Common Core standards or the next gen science standards. The next one we'll look at is the implementation of research, evidence-based, or scientifically validated instruction or interventions. And lastly, we're going to look at why we need to consider implementation with fidelity and adhering to the intentions of research-based programs. Many districts do not have explicit core programs. In most cases across the state, districts and schools have locally developed curriculum. Both approaches to curriculum can work, however, either of the two approaches must be tightly aligned to the Michigan content standards in order to ensure that the core is as effective as possible. As I said earlier in class, the academic core is the most important factor in a quality MTSS system. Interventions are to support students whom are struggling with the core. Interventions cannot undo ongoing ineffective core instruction. When we think about core instruction, we're thinking of our math, our science, our social studies, and our English programs. In some of those programs we have that are from a vendor, it might be aligned to the new state standards, or maybe they're older but we've aligned them through teacher professional development sessions and PLCs. But if those programs, no matter where they originate from, don't impact 80% of our students positively, then we have to reassess, is the program actually aligned? Is that one of the reasons our students are showing up as not proficient? Is because the alignment of our curriculum. And remember, curriculum also consists of the delivery of the curriculum, which is the instructional component. And sometimes our teaching does not match what our students need. And these are things that we need to look at as we go deeper into our core. As with the academic core, interventions must also be evidence-based. There is always an attraction to use teacher-created interventions, but these are difficult to ensure the quality. MTSS, at its heart, is evidence-based and data-driven. In order to assure fidelity of implementation of quality interventions, research-based interventions should be used and monitored. A great resource to start with for research-based and evidence-based interventions is IES What Works Clearinghouse, with a link listed below. The nice thing about the Clearinghouse is this is a federally sponsored site that has plenty of different types of research-based practices with almost all of your essential skills in most core areas. So that might be the first place that you begin to look. In using research-based practices, you can also ensure the strategy matched the student's need. We want to be sure that we implement these strategies with fidelity and that the intentions of the programs are carried through. Programs are developed for specific purposes and also for specific audiences. A good example would be reading fluency. When we have students identified with a reading fluency deficit, we want to make sure that they actually have the reading fluency intervention. If we think about years past with, say, special ed classrooms that had students of varying disabilities participate in the same activity, we didn't see any growth. With MTSS, we only see growth if the student is prescribed the actual intervention that their data shows they need support with. Now that we've unpacked research-based and evidence-based practices a little, Let's think about your core programs. Are they evidence-based? If not, are they working? The second question is, what does your student achievement data tell you about your core program? Do you see many students doing well within the core program? Is there a history of students doing well, or are students not doing so well? And is there a history of students not doing well? You really have to understand this so you can tell the difference if it is your core program or is it core instruction, the way that teachers are teaching students. Is that something that we need to tweak or update? Last, do you have an inventory of the research-based strategies in use in your school? And if you don't have that, could you meet with a team of teachers to connect those strategies to the things that you already have students identified and needing support within your data? So in other words, if you have, say, different levels of fluency support and you have students with those same levels, then you have a match. Whereas if you have students that need comprehension support and you only have a few comprehension activities for specific levels, you may need to increase the number of comprehension strategies that you have at your disposal.